evening, everyone, and a warm welcome to our celebration of World Wetland Day. My name is Adeyo Lasisi. I am delighted to be your hosts, and as we welcome together to recognize and appreciate this vital ecosystem. Wetlands are by far more than just a land, but they are what we call kidney of the earth. Their dynamic environmental role, the dynamic environmental role they play, and the crucial to the health of the planet is so important. And that is why we are here today celebrating World Wetland Day. Not only for ourselves, but for the coming generation. As I welcome you all to this important event, it's just for us to share our knowledge together and show how vital this ecosystem is to the general well-being of the earth. Thank you for joining us. Once again, you are all welcome.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lasisi, for that warm welcome. Just in case it's your first time hearing about եկÓ EnviroTalk, you're by chance just coming here to find out what exactly is happening here. I'm Wande Seriki, and I'd like to intimate you about եկÓ EnviroTalk. եկÓ EnviroTalk is a national non-governmental organization founded in 2021 with the focus of preserving and protecting our planet through education and science communication initiatives, with a mission to raise awareness about environmental issues and promote sustainable practices, which strive to inspire individuals and communities to take actions for a greener, sustainable future. Our organization has made environmental education and science communication vital components of her strategies. And through these efforts, we hope to be able to provide accessible and engaging information to communities to inspire positive change. To date, we have created about 8 knowledge products, which are Lagos Environments Series, Green Challenge, and to name a few. Please stay tuned. Today, as Mr. Lasisi has said, we will be raising awareness about World Wetlands Day. Thank you very much. Okay, the next item on the agenda is to actually enlighten us about what is World Wetlands Day. This day is particularly to raise global awareness campaign, call on nations and everyone everywhere to protect our planet's wetlands. It's also to remind us that healthy wetlands are essential for our universal well-being, long-term survival. And this day, 2nd of February, has been celebrated as World Wetlands Day since 1997. It's also the anniversary of the Convention on Wetlands. It's a United Nations International Day since 2022. And it has been aligned with the UN Decade of Ecosystem Restoration, which calls for the protection and revival of ecosystems around the world.
Wetlands, wetlands are often called the kidneys of the earth. They are among the most valuable and diverse ecosystems on our planet. But what exactly are wetlands, and why are they so important? Wetlands are areas where water covers the soil, but is present either at or near the surface for very period of time. They are transitional zones between terrestrial and aquatic ecosystems, playing a crucial role in biodiversity, water purification, and climate regulation. Types of wetlands. Wetlands are classified into different types based on water source, vegetation, and geographical location. The major types include marshes. These are dominated by herbaceous plants like weeds and grasses found in freshwater and saltwater environments. Plants, typically characterized by woody vegetation such as trees and shrubs found in floodplains and coastal areas. Bogs. These are nutrient-poor wetlands with acidic waters, mainly fed by rainwater and covered with thick moss. Fens, Similar to birds, they receive water from groundwater sources, making them less acidic and richer in minerals. Mangroves. These are coastal wetlands found in tropical and subtropical regions dominated by salt-tolerant mangrove trees. Peatlands. These wetlands are accumulated with organic matter, peats storing large amounts of carbon. The importance of wetlands. Wetlands provide essential benefits to the environment. They help control floods by absorbing excess water, act as natural filters by purifying pollutants, and serve as nurseries for countless species of fishes, birds, and amphibians. They also play a crucial role in storing carbon, helping to combat climate change. Some of its functions include serves as biodiversity hotspot, water filter, flood control, helps in carbon sequestration, erosion prevention, supports livelihoods, and also supports conservation and tourism. Biodiversity in wetlands. Wetlands are home to a wide range of species, from the majestic heron soaring above the reeds to the tiny fish darting between submerged roots. These ecosystems support incredible biodiversity. Some of the world's rarest and most endangered species depend on wetlands for survival. Threats to wetlands. Unfortunately, wetlands are among the most threatened ecosystems on Earth. Urban development, pollution, and climate change have led to the loss of nearly 35% of the world's wetlands in the last century. Protecting these vital areas is crucial for the health of our planet. Conservation and how you can help. The good news, we can help protect wetlands. Governments and organizations are working to restore degraded wetlands, and individuals can contribute by supporting conservation efforts, reducing pollution, and advocating for wetland protection policies. Even small actions like reducing plastic waste and using sustainable products in education, wetlands is just working on the system, so they are protecting them is protecting the future of all living things. Let's work together to preserve these natural wonders of the ocean and land.
Good afternoon, all. And once again, I welcome you to this live webinar to commemorate the World's Wetland Day. Can you hear me?
Loud and
Yes, we
clear.
can.
Okay. So it's good that we all have an insight to the profile of
Yes, we can
our
hear
resource
you.
person for today. Mrs Tolulope Adeyo's career journey is a testament to dedication, resilience, and unshakable commitment to environmental conservation. She joined Lagos State Civil Service in the year 2000 as a scientific officer, and like fine wine, her expertise has only gotten better with time. Today, she serves as the Director of the Conservation and Ecology Department at the Ministry of the years of service under her belt. That's nearly about a quarter of a century, for those of you counting. Mrs. Adeyo has left her mark across multiple ministries, departments, and agencies. She started at LASEPA as the Lagos State Environmental Protection Agency between year 2000 and year 2003, ensuring industries weren't turning Lagos into a chemistry lab. She then moved to the Ministry of the Environment and Water Resources, between year 2003 to 2009. Then LOMA between 2009 to 2015, helping to manage waste in a state that never sleeps. Since 2015, she has been environment and water resources, leading critical conservation efforts because someone has to keep Lagos from becoming a jungle, literally and figuratively. Her academic background is just as impressive. She holds a BSc in zoology from Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, and an MSc in zoology in environmental toxicology and pollution management from the University of Lagos. Simply put, she knows everything from the tiniest insects to environmental hazards. Back then in Ife, we used to have this slang that is Zoo 101 your mate. You know, for those of us that understand, we know to study zoology in these institutions is not something to joke about. Before joining the civil service, Mrs. Adeyo gained valuable experience in the private sector for over 5 years. This means she has seen both sides of the coin. The fast-paced world of private business and the structured and sometimes dramatic life of the government service. With a career spanning nearly 3 decades, she remains a key player in Lagos environmental sustainability, proving that public service, when done right, can be both impactful and fulfilling. Welcome once again to this live webinar. And I present to you our resource person, Mrs. Tolulope Adeyo. Thank you.
I can hear you.
I hear you. Good afternoon, ma.
I thank you to talk about the wetlands, especially on this commemorative day of the World Wetland Day. The topic for today will be the importance of wetlands to our communities. Why wetlands? What are wetlands? Wetlands are basically areas saturated with water, can be permanently or seasonally, and the water within the wetland can be fresh water, it can be flowing, it can be static or brackish. There are so many types of wetlands. We have the marshes, the fens, the pits. We have natural wetlands, and people are beginning to create artificial wetlands in other climes because of the advantages this important ecosystem provide to us all. Like we've all heard, they are nature's gift to mankind, and they are the kidney of the environment. Wetlands in Lagos are predominantly the tropical swamp forest or the mangrove tropical forest. There are different types of wetlands. We have the riverine ones, that's the wetlands that occurs along the rivers, along the streams. We have the polsterine, which are marshes, swamps, bogs. We have man-made wetlands that are reservoirs. There are ponds, there are sewage farms, at times canals. And we have the estuarine. Those are tidal marshes. You find the mangroves, you find the delta there. And the marine wetlands. Those are coastal wetlands. They occur very, very close to the sea. Like we said earlier, today is World Wetland Day. And we need to talk a bit about what brought about the celebration of the World Wetland Day. The World Wetland Day in itself is an adoption of an intergovernmental treaty to help conserve wetlands and the resources and is popularly known as the Ramsar Convention. The Wetland Day is celebrated annually every 2nd of February. The convention itself was established in December 1971 at Ramsar in Iran, and that is why it is called the Ramsar Convention. About 90% of UN member states have acceded to this convention. This convention provides a framework for international cooperation, for national cooperation, regional cooperation on the regulation, management, and conservation of wetlands worldwide. Global theme for this year, 2025, is protecting wetlands for our common future. In Nigeria, we have about 11 Ramsar sites that have been designated to be protected and conserved. What are the objectives of this Ramsar Convention? The most important being to stop the loss of wetlands worldwide and conserve the remaining wetlands, using them wisely, thereby contributing to sustainable development worldwide. Like I said earlier, the objective aims for governmental and national or regional bodies to have international cooperations, expects that policies will be made to support this fragile ecosystem. It encourages capacity building, technology transfer, either locally, regionally, or internationally. The overall objective, after all this is done, is to recognize and designate suitable wetlands of international importance. And these sites are recognized for their social, ecological, and cultural values. Let's talk about wetlands in Lagos State. In Lagos State, wetland has been classified based on the geographical locations. Basically, there are 4 zones of classification. We have the western zone, we have the inland zone, the eastern zone, and the central zone. This falls within various local governments that the wetlands are interconnected for ease of referencing and to identify communities that the wetlands pass through. Why are wetlands important? Like I said earlier, the wetlands are essential ecosystem, providing variety of ecosystem services to the environment and especially to humans. Part of the ecosystem services that are provided include water purification. The wetlands filter any pollutants that is in the water, ensuring that it does not get to a stage where it is detrimental to humans. The roots of the peculiar plants in the wetland pick up most of these pollutants, either carbon, nitrates, or sulfur, and they are stored without any harm to those plants and even animals. Like was said in the video, wetlands are great biodiversity hotspots. It's a habitat that supports different flora and fauna. And as we all know, the food web is very, very important for our sustainability, even as humans. Most of the time we forget as humans, because we are higher animals, that we actually need these systems to work for us to actually survive. And so we trample on this important ecosystem at our own expense. Wetlands also act as natural sponges, absorbing excess rainwater, runoffs when there is excessive rains and the percolation for water or movement for water is slow. Wetlands and floodplains serve to keep the water and release it gradually so that we do not have flooding, especially for a coastal city like Lagos. It is important that our wetlands and our floodplains are kept in the interest of the citizens. Wetlands are also water purification systems. Like I said, they pick up the pollutants and they ensure that water is seeped into the aquifer. It allows for underground water percolation, maintaining a healthy water for the common good of all. Wetlands are also good carbon sequesters. We know that the environment we live in, there are a lot of anthropogenic activities ongoing, and a lot of carbon is being released into the environment. And that's why we have issues of climate change because of our activities. These wetlands are a good storage for carbon. They store the carbon in their leaves, in their roots, in their stems, and they reduce the amount of carbon in the environment. We also know that in photosynthesizing, they will release oxygen back into the environment, which is crucial for us. They are also critical breeding habits for fishes, for shellfishes, and they are also good breeding grounds for birds. You'll find a lot of migratory birds in wetlands. Studies have shown that they are home to different kinds of birds. We have migratory birds that fly as much as into other climes, and when the weather is cold, they return back to this side of the planet, and the wetlands are home to them. They are also excellent sites for agric, good for cultivation of rice. When wetlands are properly packaged, they are good recreation sites and they are sites for tourism. They also provide a good site for research and educational purposes. What is the status of our wetlands in Lagos State? We all know that Lagos is about the smallest state on the map in Nigeria and is the financial capital of the country with about 3,577 square kilometers and a population of over 20 million people. This puts tremendous pressure on our natural resources. Currently, the state is facing pressure from housing development and other anthropogenic activities. Studies have shown that between 2014 and 2022, over 100 square kilometers of wetlands have been lost in Lagos State. This calls for critical action to save this fragile ecosystem. Here is a picture of a wetland around Magodo. And a portion of it was cleared. And sand from uphill was being used to fill this wetland until officials had to stop the people taking this action. There is another wetland here at Agboiketu Owodionirin area. You can see that this wetland has been seriously encroached upon. It's very, very fragmented, and we have houses all over the place. Unfortunately, because the wetlands and the floodplains have been built upon, seasonally we have issues when there is high tide or water is released at a high rate, and you have issues of flooding in the state. And that is one of the reasons why wetlands must be protected, and as much as possible, developments along wetlands and floodplains must be properly controlled. There is just a small area of the wetland that is yet to be encroached upon. This is another wetland along Lasu-Iba Expressway. In the first picture, you can actually see the road and the wetland as it crisscrosses from one side to the other. Developments have moved so close to the wetlands, and it's a running battle now to ensure that people do not build very, very close to the wetlands in their own interest. What are the conservation efforts by the state? What we do is to constantly monitor the remaining wetlands with the view of preserving and conserving them. So we also erect signages on wetlands for people to know that these areas are conservation areas. Ongoing right now is the putting together of a wetland policy to properly manage the wetlands in the state and ensure that the conservation areas are not encroached upon. We also have advocacy programs to different stakeholders ranging from NGOs, traditional institutions, schools, community development association, and also CDCs. These are critical stakeholders that we talk to ensure. These are critical stakeholders that we talk to ensure the preservation of these wetlands, especially the CDCs and the CDAs that the wetlands pass through, for them to understand that nature has gifted them a very, very crucial ecosystem, and to ensure that the ecosystem is preserved in the interest of sustainable development for their children also, to have access to these wetlands over the years. Like I said, the monitoring is constant and continuous. Where there are encroachments, we engage such persons giving them notices. And when the notices are not adhered to, we then enforce compliance. We foster partnerships with NGOs and other critical bodies to ensure that this fragile ecosystem is conserved. So what is the way forward? As citizens, we are required to preserve this wetland, especially because of the ecosystem services that it provides. There is no other ecosystem as rich as the wetlands. The fishes will come there to breed, the shellfishes, the crabs, the crustaceans, the different types of fauna will breed in there. Supports different types of flora and is unique because it also interfaces with the water system, with the carbon system, the nitrogen system, which is essential to the livelihood of mankind. And so it is important that we keep this ecosystem alive and we continue to support it. In cases of encroachment, we also encourage citizens to send information to the ministry through our social media handles, which are on screen right now, to help us also monitor. And we are in constant touch with our CDAs and our CDCs so that if anything comes up or any form of development that they don't understand comes up within their community, they are quick to alert us. It is for the common good of all that these wetlands are to be preserved. And we encourage each and every one of us to please protect these wetlands in the interest of humanity. I want to say that wetlands are critical ecosystems and we need to preserve them. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for this enlightening presentation. I have definitely learned new things from listening to you, particularly with the focus on Lagos. It's really interesting to see the great efforts that your department is doing to put wetlands to be more protected and conserved. Thank you very much. Okay, so just reading comments from the chat box. Thank you so much for the wonderful session. I don't know if there are any questions. Definitely want to make this as interactive as possible. There are no questions in the chat box. So I don't know if anyone has questions that they would like to ask. They can please go ahead and mute themselves and speak. Okay, I take it that there are no questions.
There are.
Okay, there is a question about the status of the wetland policy in Lagos. Mark, if we can ask that you please shed more light on this.
Okay, thank you very much. Like I said earlier, the wetland policy in the state is being developed. And we all know that when there is a policy, it has to pass through ratification before it becomes operational. Right now, the wetland policy was presented sometime in 2016 and also represented last year. And we are still in the stage of implementation. We are pushing very hard because we know the importance of this wetland to the survival of humans and for ecological balance. And I want to assure you that we'll continue to push, we'll do everything we can to ensure that it is recognized and passed as a policy for us to work better and to preserve this crucial ecosystem. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Now more questions are coming in. Thank you so much, everyone, for your questions. There's a question here: is there any collaborations with physical planning, Ministry of Physical Planning and Urban Development in Lagos with regards to building on wetlands?
Okay. So, yes. In 2021, the ministry had a study of wetlands in Lagos State with our consultants. And part of the recommendation that was pushed and is part of the policy is to get sister MDAs that are involved in issues concerning land to ensure that wetlands are protected. The physical planning, Ministry of Physical Planning also comes up with developmental plans in different areas of Lagos. And there are areas that have been designated as conservation areas. But we find out that even as at that, we'll just find out that through monitoring that someone is building somewhere. The most important thing is get support at the top. Right now, talks are ongoing to ensure that we make presentation to the state ÉKÓ to understand the intricacies and the reason why sister MDAs like Ministry of Physical Planning, Lands Bureau, Office of Surveyor General, and Ministry of Environment have to work together to ensure that this critical ecosystem is preserved. So we are on it and will continue to do the work until it is perfected.
Thank you, ma'am. Now we're going to take live questions. Mr. Dena Sohin, you can please unmute yourself and ask your question. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ÉKÓ EnviroTalk. Good afternoon, Mrs. Adeyo. Thank you for that beautiful presentation. I just want to quickly bring our attention to some development in the state, especially as regards encroachment on wetlands. You mentioned in your presentation about the encroachment and the fragmentation of wetland in parts of Agboyike, the Ode, Nire, Aziz, and so on. So, and I remember sometimes last year at one of the programs at LCCI, there was one community leader, maybe a king, came and made a lot of allegations against the state government. How because of course everyone knows that land in Lagos is an essential commodity. It's like our oil. So it's our crude oil. So everybody is scrambling for his own right as far as the land is concerned. So this monarch made a lot of allegations that he has a lot of documents about the land, and this land we are talking about is the wetland on that axis towards the Ikorodu. So that he had documents that has been given, maybe I can't be specific about those documents now because I don't want to make statements that I cannot authenticate. But he said he has documents. Lagos State government came. He wanted to take over the place from him. He went to court. He won the case, and so on and so forth. So you just discover that because communities lay claim to landed properties that, you know, they are the owners, and also including wetlands. And of course, they continue to sell these wetlands. So if you go towards from Obadore, you are going towards Lasso, you will see some of those areas that people have, you know, communities have sold out to, you know, those who want to build, and they keep building in those places. And apart from this, for individuals, government estates, you know, spring up in wetlands. So if we caution individuals and continue to serve them notices to stop encroaching on wetland or building on wetlands, then how do we handle that aspect of government where we see, you know, a lot of estates coming up? Those ones that have been done already, for example, this one at Alakwere, and everybody saw it when it was coming up, but eventually we couldn't stop it. So now, how do we work with sister agencies to ensure that the remaining wetlands, government estates don't spring up? LBIC, apart from those agencies that I have mentioned, LBIC is very key in this area because a lot of development housing projects have been done by LBIC. So LBIC needs to be involved as well. Ministry of Housing needs to be involved as well. So how do we coordinate all these sector MDAs together to ensure that these wetlands are protected and are not encroached upon? Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Adeyo, can you ask your
Since,
question also? Hello, madam. Please.
Okay.
Wait. Let's take all the questions so that you can. It may be similar to what you just want to say. Let's take all the questions together. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, our resource person, for that very enlightening exposition about our wetlands, especially in Lagos State. We know that the biggest threat facing our wetlands in Lagos is economic development. So, how sustainable are these wetlands in the next 20 years in Lagos? Because currently, it is said that the population by square meter in Lagos is about 7,000 to 20,000 people per square meter. And it is even higher in places like the Lagos Island, like Mushin, like Oshodi. How sustainable are these wetlands in the future, especially in Lagos State? And what community-driven exercises, you know, are we embarking on to ensure that we don't encroach on it, despite the economic developments in Lagos State?
Thank you. Mr.
Thank
Babajide, your question.
Hello, good evening. So my questions are, it's more of a suggestion and also a question. So I feel like the ministry or slash agency that are overseeing the wetlands in Lagos State, I feel like there's pretty much not a widespread jingle or widespread information going around. We don't, the thing is that we don't even know the creatures, we don't know the species that we are endangering, and we don't know exactly what we are doing. Like an average Lagosian doesn't know what is happening when it's building on wetland, and it doesn't know what to do if he has to do anything concerning wetland. He doesn't even know what to do. He doesn't know the importance. He doesn't know anything about wetland. So my question is, what are we going to do about this? Because it's not even just about protecting them or laying fence around them or anything. It's more of letting people know, at least let's do some kind of community protection on wetland. That's every individual in Lagos State should contribute to this and all. That's my question.
Yeah, thank you all. Yes, ma'am. The
So
floor is open for you, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you very much. Let me start from Mr. Babajide. Thank you for your comments, stroke questions. But actually, information is key, and we know that. And in the course of my presentation, I spoke about the community development associations and the CDCs. Those are the people that are in constant relation with the wetlands. And that is why we hold stakeholders meetings in all the senatorial districts, the 3 senatorial districts. And it's a continuous thing. It's an annual event. We go from one community to the other. And beyond that, we have individual advocacies that we do. We have a department that is a unit that is in charge of advocacy. We go to the different wetland communities and we speak with them so that they will become whistleblowers. They will understand the intricacies of this wetland. If I'll give you an example, sometime before the ending of last year, there's somewhere they call Okerube. I think it's around the Kotun area. We were at this wetland. We even worked with them, with an international body, to ensure that prevalent species that have gone extinct in those wetlands because of encroachments are returned back to the wetland to help the community, because the community is now exposed to a lot of flooding. So we do that and we move around communities. They tell us their challenges. Most of the time, most of the challenges are really beyond them. There are some things I would not actually want to say at this forum, but you know that the citizens are not the ones selling the land. And so when we have these engagements, we invite traditional institutions, we invite ballets for them to understand the importance of this crucial wetlands. That does not say that we cannot ramp up information. In fact, we have jingles. When we go to wetland communities, we begin to play those jingles around the community. Then we gather them, especially when they're having their CDAs and their CDC meetings, to talk to them about the importance of these wetlands, the value that it places upon them beyond the economic benefits that they think. That makes me talk about what Mr. Jennerson said. He talked a lot about developers in Lagos and different agencies, apart from the ones that I have mentioned, on use of wetlands, the reclamation of wetlands. Sometimes they are running battles that we don't, you might not be privy to. I know that there's a wetland area around Badagry. We've been at it since 2021. This is 4 years. And you find out that people that buy these wetlands, especially in hectares, are important people in the society. So they do everything possible to ensure that they have their way. But thankfully, this time around, our commissioner has been very, very supportive. And with that, the principal officers are not allowing development on these wetlands, because some of the time they expect that they will just come and pay and then go and build on the wetlands. We have areas like that that we have stopped people from building, like hectares of land in Badagry. We have in եկÓ. We have along Ito Ikin Road, sometime around December, If you still drive through the place, we served all of the housing developers that are around the place. This year, we are having a conference or a stakeholders engagement with estate developers in Lagos, because their ignorance, like Mr. Denason said, people look at the economic benefit. Oh, I'll fill this place with so amounts, and this is how much I make. But we tell them that the wetlands are our natural capital. And it behoves us on us as government officials to ensure that we do everything possible to get this wetland policy up and running, to protect the remaining wetlands. If you look at Lagos, if you go on Google Map and look at Lagos in the past, and you look at the forest cover, and you zoom down to 2025, you find out that a lot of wetlands have been lost. Yes, the Ramsar Convention says we should use the wetlands wisely. And that is why we have come up with a suggestion now that, although it has not been ratified, so I am it's something in progress, that if you want to build on a wetland, you will have to put suspended buildings on it. That is the way forward. If you have the money to buy wetlands and you insist that you want to build on it, then you must build in such a way that the wetland is left sustainable. If you can put suspended building on it and ensure that life within the wetlands is not destroyed, then you are preserving the wetlands. So that's the way forward. That's where we are going right now. Which takes me to what Mr. Fadosi said. Looking at the sustainability of these wetlands in Lagos State in the next 20 years. It's very, very important, and that's why all these efforts that I've said earlier are being put in place. If policies are not in place, if regulations are not in place, if government does not rise up to the occasion, a lot of wetlands will be destroyed, and the environmental costs will be too high for the state to deal with. So there are times we have to look at environmental cost vis-a-vis economic cost. And that is what the policymakers are being presented, that the economic cost is way too small compared to the environmental cost if we continue to reclaim and build on our wetlands. And that is why we have suggested putting up suspended buildings if you must use those wetlands. But like I said, it has not been ratified. I also told you that we are pushing to present to the ÉKÓ of Lagos State the reason why these wetlands needs to be preserved. Because for policies to move, you need to lobby, you need to get support. People need to understand why you are saying what you are saying. Like Mr. Denason, he said something. He said, land is like oil to Lagos State. Yes, we want to build everywhere. Everybody wants to own a house in Lagos. But the truth is, eventually, Lagos will have to go vertical because of the landmass. We don't have that space. And if we keep destroying the remaining wetlands, because I remember that when we were much younger, Lagos was predominantly wetlands. Yes, we've used so much, but the percentage of usage is now becoming alarming, and that's why it has to be controlled, and that's why we are pushing for this policy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. This has truly been an insightful session, and I trust that it has been for you as it has been for me. Next on the agenda is Well, just to clarify, are there any more questions from anyone? It's 12 minutes past the hour though. But the next item on the agenda is to talk about the wetland photo contest that we had a week to this event, and I call on, okay. So Denasme, I see your hand is raised. Please go ahead.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mrs. Adeyo, for that expository. Very interesting. So I just want to quickly add that anyway, the policy have been drafted, it's been pushed, but you know, the issue of suspended buildings, I think there are it should be in such a way that there are some areas where even buildings should not be allowed at all, because you know, if you look at this place in Ikoyi, Dolphin Estate, the buildings are suspended actually, but the flora is lost. Fine, water may still be under because you know, it will just prevent the flooding because they are suspended, so the water will still find its way under those buildings. But what about the flora? I mean, the flora is gone. So there are some places, even if you allow suspended buildings, the kind of trees that will be there, all those trees will be cut off. It's only, you know, the water that we will still find its place there. So some of those wetlands, we know that maybe where we have the fence and there are no much trees there, we can allow suspended buildings in such places. But where we have like matches, where we have different species of trees and all whatnot, so those places should be strictly restricted from buildings whatsoever. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your
part of this program. Thank you for your time, and thank you to the Honorable Speaker. We enjoyed the information. This installation was worth it, and it was worth our time. And we hope to spread this information to every other person close to us and every other way that we can use to spread the information. So earlier, a week to this event, individuals were invited to identify specific wetlands in Lagos using pictures. The entries closed yesterday at 10 a.m. So after careful reviewing of the entries, we have our winner. So on our screen, we will see display of the photo contest. This is Badagry. This is Ekpe. And this is also Ekpe. So from those pictures, we have our winner in person of Ms. Dara Sumbo of Lagos State Junior Model College, Badori Aja. Thank you.
Okay, is Dara Sumbo available?
Mrs. Dara Sumbo of Lagos State Junior Model College, Badori Aja.
Not available. I don't think they allow student phone in the hostel. So that's acceptable.
Okay.
We can move on. Thank you.
Okay, so at this juncture, we've come to the end of the session, and I call on Mr. Lasisi to give the commentary and closing remarks.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us. And I think we all can testify to it that it has been a very wonderful evening. Before we conclude, I will just share this. This picture we are all looking at, it's Racecross, Lagos. I think this picture is 1912. This center you are seeing, that is Racecross in Lagos. And far away is Victoria Island. Far away is Victoria Island. Just close to it, that is where you have Bonny Camp now. So basically, most part of Lagos are basically wetland. Where you have the train station now in CMS, all those places were reclaimed. Even right from, it's only the CMS church that has the actual land during the colonial era. Where you have the CMS park, where you have the UBA park, where people normally park, all those places were reclaimed from the sea. So most part of Lagos are actually wetland. And there's a Yoruba proverb that says, Tí ọba ayé ò rí ẹ, ọba ọ̀run ṣe kí ni, ó ń rí ẹ. It's only the king of the head that is blind. The king of the heaven is opening his eyes and is seeing everything. I was able to watch the documentary of what happened in Valencia last year, the flooding in Valencia last year. And a professor had actually made a statement about that flooding in 1943. And look at 1943 to 2024, before the incident happened. We are just reclaiming the land. We are destroying the wetland, all because we want land. Everybody wants to stay in Lagos. A time is coming where we will remove all our land and start creating vegetation for ourselves. I have seen it done in different parts of the world. Netherlands, even Japan, people who had reclaimed their land, who are reclaiming water to form land, are now removing that land and replacing them with grassland. They are replacing them with wetland because how important wetlands are. So, but the only thing is that, are we doing this thing, the mistakes of other countries, are we going to do the same? So it's not only about government, it's about each and every one of us. Who is buying the land? Who is encouraging the developer? Most of these lands that we are talking about, the people claiming ownership of it, they are indigenous, they are our parents, they are people close to us. But because they are not scientists, they are not environmentally conscious, that is why they don't know the importance of it. But for those of us who have the knowledge, that know that even removing butterfly or removing flies, removing rats from the ecosystem will disturb a lot of things. So it is for us to join hands with government and do proper education. On this note, I thank each and every one of you for joining us today on this, our activity to celebrate World Wetlands Day, and also enjoy you to visit our YouTube page. We have a lot of videos, we have a lot of activities. The recorded version of this event will be put on our YouTube page for us to listen once again. And also we'll get the permission from the presenter to share the slides. Thank you all for joining us. Have a nice evening and good working week ahead. Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Please
Thank you,
follow us
everyone.
on
Thank you.
Instagram at èKÓ EnviroTalk. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.